Greetings everyone, Battery H here. Welcome to another episode of Road to Ruin. Today we're on a mission to take some salt and spices to Frankfurt. And if you haven't noticed outside, well, the weather is a-changing. Fall is upon us. Now it's considered advanced fall when this is released, but go with me folks. That's all we've got today. So yes, we have noticed the leaves on the trees are changing and all sorts of wonderful things are occurring. We're going to run over and pick up our load of goodies, and then we'll be on our way. It's been very, very interesting here. When this is released, we have just seen the drop of Beyond the Baltic, which is quite a surprise. It's been a few weeks, I know. I'm sorry, guys. Things happen sometimes, especially around the holidays with me. And I can't always get out the amount of videos I prefer to do. Instead, we'll take what we can get, make a right turn here, see where we're at, just up ahead. And we'll turn in here, and then I'm going to pop in and arrange to get our trailer picked out. One moment. Well, folks, apparently this is what happens when you don't read your text messages. We've been redirected by the Home Office. Apparently those salt and spices aren't needed nearly as much as this load of goat cheese, which is going to Amsterdam, actually. Apparently the other trucking company that had consigned to pick up this could not deliver a driver, and they left themselves looking in emergency straits for this load. So we're going to help them out and take this to Amsterdam. So we'll have to do a little rerouting. That's okay. Never let it fail to say that we haven't been swift to adapt, even though it's kind of a long journey and we're still kind of tired. So it's off to Amsterdam. And here I'd thought about all the things we were going to talk about instead of a trip to Germany. Here's our routing. It's going to take us, up down the highway there and all the way up through Rotterdam. We could probably, let's make plans to sleep here. We've got a chance to do that. They're not going to complain too much. After all, we are actually here to pick up a load for them. So off we go, ladies and gentlemen. Amsterdam. Yeah, a lot of people seem to know a lot about Amsterdam, or what they think they know about Amsterdam, and really there's so much more to the city and its history. A lot of people and tourists tend to go there for a couple of activities that are, not suited for this nature of this program. Let's put it that way. And they're a little more adult than we like to discuss, but everyone seems to know that they can get that there, and we'll leave it at that. Instead, I'd like to think about the history of the city a little bit as we go along. We'll take a moment and chat about it here for a minute. So what is there to say about Amsterdam? Well, it's not the capital of the Netherlands. It's not even the capital of the province of the Netherlands that it's in, North Holland. Although Americans, a lot of Americans that I'm aware of at any rate, tend to confuse Holland and the Netherlands, not realizing that the former is a subsidiary, yeah, that's the word, of the latter. We can speak today really, really well. Okay, get it around the corner, and away we go a little further. The area that we think of has been shown signs, okay, gotta go to the left, shown signs of inhabitants, although not necessarily that of a city, since as early as, I want to say around 1300. They were showing signs of reclaiming the land where not necessarily farming, though. That was what surprised me when I discovered it. You didn't necessarily see farming, but what may have been used for instead is peat. and the marshy remnants there and cut into logs like they do in Scotland. You know, we think of peat in terms of Scotch production, but it was a very efficient fuel back in that period as well. So it would burn for a nice long time and provide a great deal of heat. The name Amsterdam actually indicates, because the origin, it was around a dam in the River Amstel. In the late 12th century, late 1300s, you saw the small fishing village. And it would become one of the great ports of Amsterdam during what's known as the Dutch Golden Age of the 17th century. You would see a lot of Dutch trading vessels, the Dutch East India and Dutch West India companies, as we pass through an old border checkpoint. And the trading that the Dutch would do would lead to a mercantile empire throughout the Americas. Actually, we don't think about it, but a lot of the Dutch colonies were founded in this period because they started off as trading posts, and bartering with the locals for this, that, or the other thing. Small colonies, nothing on the order of Spain or even England. But what's striking is how the Netherlands came about to be an independent power. And let's talk about that for just a moment. Up until the 16th century, once nations started being founded, the area was ruled by the Spanish crown. And the Dutch rebelled against Philip II of Spain. Interestingly enough, the reasons for rebelling can be described as brand new taxes, little representation, and religious persecution. The Protestants that lived in the area, the area was known for that, were suddenly found themselves on the receiving end of the Spanish Inquisition, which apparently they didn't expect, because no one does. In any event, William the Silent, the Dutch was a revolter and leader, and eventually established a Dutch Republic. And when that happened, there became a revival of religious tolerance in the area. So you would find people of all religious faiths living and working in relative harmony, something that wasn't seen in other parts of Europe at the time. So you had Protestants, Catholics, Jews, all kinds of religious minorities, all there primarily to make money. You would find a lot of printing houses, and when you added up that kind of tolerance, you found that Amsterdam became very much a area for free press. And that's what led eventually to this trading empire. When you find the trade that's taking place, because all these people feel safe and secure and come into trade, and you have people of all different backgrounds that bring their specialties to the city, then the trade just exploded. The very first stock market in the world happened when the Dutch East India Company started selling shares of itself, right, out to other people. So, give us money, we'll capitalize, you'll get a bit back. And they started trading these options back and forth. And eventually that led into the Amsterdam stock market. You would find that would continue on for about 150 years, and for a period with Dutch colonies all over, started to come to an end. There ended up to being wars with both England and France, and during the Napoleonic era, basically Amsterdam took it on the chin. You never knew what you were going to find, but the United Kingdom, the Kingdom of France absorbed, under Napoleon, absorbed the Amsterdam, and ever so briefly. And when it emerged finally after the defeat of Napoleon and the return of Dutch sovereignty to Amsterdam, the city entered a second golden age, which would last really until the World Wars. There would be all kinds of new commerce as the Industrial Revolution came about. The city began using its waterways, digging a canal to the Rhine River and the North Sea. So Amsterdam had direct river connections to most of Europe, a good chunk of it. And that would allow them unprecedented trading access. New suburbs were being built all the way up to the beginning of the First World War. And what happened in both World Wars really was horrendous for the city itself. Food shortages were massive. Heating fuel became scarce. Sometimes there were riots, and even after the end of the Second World War, things didn't get better right away. Most of the Amsterdam's population fled the city seeking food because lines of communication had been cut off after all that time under the Nazi regime. In a city that was noted for hiding its Jewish citizenry to try to keep them from the concentration camps. Those of you who read Anne Frank know that she was from Amsterdam. And the Nazis were pretty brutal in the area. More than 100,000 Dutch Jews overall. 60% of them lived in Amsterdam, were the numbers that went to the concentration camps. After the war, when food was at a premium, people were eating dogs, cats, raw sugar beets, which are not real good, even to the point where they were boiling down tulip bulbs and eating that as it broke apart and consumed and pounded into a pulp. Basically anything to provide some form of nutrition. After the Second World War, well, things got quite a bit better. You find that a number of the suburbs of the city expanded, and the city began to thrive once more. In 1977, brand new metro, and it extended not only an underground metro, but extensions and tram lines out to the suburbs as well. Eventually, the city center became sort of sacrosanct. Tourism has become a huge part of the city for obvious reasons. You never know what you're going to find. The culture, a number of museums in the city today. Ballets performed all the way back into the 1600s. Arts and theater were long-time staples of the culture there. A number of museums are in Amsterdam. You've got the Van Gogh Museum. Let's see, I know there's all kinds of them there. There's a museum square actually. I couldn't even begin to pronounce some of these names, guys. I won't offend the Dutch by attempting to try. The classical Dutch art is some of the prettiest stuff I've ever seen. But I think we're going to leave a lot of that stuff for next time. We'll discuss some other stuff a little bit later. Right now with the sunset, let's just enjoy that, and I'll stop yapping in your ear for a while.
Basic idea is that there's a groove that I can follow that's exactly right for me to live in an optimal way.
right, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our journey. Isn't that amazing? You don't have to listen to me talk anymore. Well, for a minute or so. Obviously, we're going to need to rest a little bit, and I'm going to go and do that just after we conclude this episode so that you don't have to put up with me trying to drive over there. In the meantime, we've got level up to level 3. Outstanding. I think we're going to take the point... just in time? Maybe just in time? Maybe high-value cargo. High-value cargo sounds like a good idea. We can start getting some jobs, making a little bit extra cash along the way. Yep. Isn't that nice to know that they can help us make our dreams come true? Yeah, we don't need the bank right now. That's it for me, everybody. Until next time, if you've enjoyed this episode, blah, 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 please feel free to like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Tell me in the comments what you'd like to hear me talk about in future episodes. Or if you have someplace you'd like us to end up going. I've got a few in the tank, so we'll have these coming out on a little more regular basis. Until next time, everybody, have a great day. Drive safe out there.